folks. This is me, Vishwas Narayan. I'm the host of this DevOps Chat Series, and this is the part two of whatever we are talking about the DevOps. And trust me, Koti is one of the most desired community hustler today because he's very humble. Trust me, he's very humble. Reach out to him. Make sure that you learn a lot from him because there is a lot to learn from Koti, and Koti is an amazing champ. Trust me, he has a huge dedication for the community right now. He has a good set of problem statements to be solved. He has a lot of work that he is ready to deliver for the world today. So I think I'm pretty honored that Koti is on my show and he is actually going to tell a lot of things about the DevOps and all the questions that we are going to talk about. So thank you so much, Koti, for giving a slot for the DevOps Chat Series. I hope I get you back and back so that we just can get a lot of experience by your journey as a whole. And thank you so much, Koti, for being part of this DevOps Chat Series.
Yeah, thank you, Viswas. Thank you so much for the wonderful intro. And I'll start sharing my screen. Uh,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think I'll be basically most of it as asking questions. So yeah,
okay.
let's just go on with it. So like let's just start with this journey of becoming a software engineer. Like how was your journey as a software engineer? Because not every person are willing to do that. Like now to
Yes.
become a software engineer for a while, then afterwards becoming a DevOps person, it's a whole new different level of complexity that you'll be having. So what is it all about when you're talking about something as good as and software engineer transitioning into a DevOps engineer today?
Yeah, to answer this question, no, like I'll start from my education background and all. So basically, I did my master's from a rural area. When you completed your master's in rural area, which means you will not have any practical things. That is for sure, and it will happen every time. So I started like this, and after completion of my master's and all, somewhere I need to start something. So I started learning some things, and then I started Python and to develop and all. So yes, after completing Python and all, I got the chance to start my career as a fresher. I started as a software developer. So that is where the developer journey starts. And as what happened, when the time is moving on, after doing couple of projects and all, so somewhere I felt like, yeah, what is the happening? No, I was sitting in one chair and I was doing whatever the regular coding things, and somehow I felt like there is lot more than just developing the code, right? So I wanted to know what are the things going on behind. Like if you have everything set up, everything ready, and you are doing thing, that is good actually, and that will have that scope. But when I start thinking about what is happening in the background, that's where I got to know the things like the operations team, that QA team. Whenever we have one build to release, there are a lot of stuff happening background, which I don't even aware what is happening. So that's where when I started looking into things, and I realized it, like, yeah, there is this stuff I need to just give it a try. That's where I started into looking back to the stuff, and some that point I looked into deployments, and starting when we have the requirement, immediate thing is to, like, we'll have an environment setup, how the environment is going to set up, and when some things are going on in the coming part. So there will be some updates, and there will be new enhancements each and every time when we got new requirement, and when they have the change request, how the system is going to change. That is where my interest goes into, and that's where I transitioned from the software developer to a DevOps engineer. And there exactly the real matter what I felt. That's the
Yeah.
transition.
That's the transition. I still remember I loved Python. Today I'm
Yeah.
like, why do you need Python? There is YAML and JSON to learn. So just go and learn YAML and JSON. Don't think about Python. Python can be learned in a very quick span of time.
Yes.
It's like I still say to my juniors, like, don't waste your time in learning a language, okay? understand problem statements, read a lot of white papers, read a lot of research papers. Actually, they give a lot of insights. And
Yeah.
trust me, what you said is true. In rural areas, I have some mentees who are from rural areas. They are like, I can do this, I can do that. I have some mentees who went out like 2 days after we started giving something called as Git and GitHub. That's the basic that I give to any person while starting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always there. I think probably that answer covered all the things that we were supposed to talk. So, how was that interview experience and preparation going on from your side? Like, how was that happening? Because a lot of times when you think of becoming a DevOps engineer, it's not that easy to become as well, because companies have a huge requirement that they throw in front of you and they say, okay, are you able to do this? And I think DevOps is not just tools. DevOps is beyond it. So, what is DevOps interview experience, that preparation that went through when you were transitioning for the DevOps role?
Yeah, very well said, Vishwas. Like basically, what we'll thought is like everything is about the tools. When we talk about DevOps, we'll have a bunch of tools that are coming in, and even when I start applying for DevOps engineer role, when I saw some any job description, I'll get a favor one not for favor. See, there will be list of tools starting from Git, GitHub, and in Git also we have so many things, Bitbucket, and we have a ticketing tools, Jira, and not one. For everything we'll have most available tools. And you can talk about the normal tools. And if cloud as an addition, for AWS, for every tool will have a separate space in AWS, and for the same tool we'll have in Azure with a different name. So, and the job description will be filled up with so many things. And as soon as you saw this as a fresher, no, and you'll get scared, no doubt about it. But the real thing is, when you understand the tool and the functioning of the tool. Say if you can have a GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, all these tools, instead of looking as tools as as a separate topic. And if you understand that version control, so all these tools are we are using for the version control. And if you just focus on this version control, what it will do, and how we can get into it, then that portion will be like cakewalk. And until and unless you are not aware of the functioning of the tool and these things, no, it will be really very horrible. So that's where there are a lot of tools. That is true, lot of tools will be there, and we have to understand that each and every tool functioning and all. If not everything, and as the the normal flow, the normal DevOps cycle will goes, no, starting from plan to as soon as when we get any sort of thing, okay, we'll have these steps ready. We need plan, code, and then we need to build, we need to test, that release, deployment, and then the operations thing. And then as soon as you gone through each and every step, finally you need to monitor the results, how the infrastructure is behaving, how the environment is changing, for build to build, for situation to situation. But these all things will be there. But if you understand the process and the functioning of the tool, which we are going to, in which phase we are going to use which tool, then it will be like easier. And that's where the real dedication, or the determination will help you to land into the next level. If not, it will be like when you saw any, I do remember a few of the resumes, like I don't know like where to put in my resume. Then obviously I asked one of my senior to share hey, share your resume. I need to apply as a DevOps engineer. Then when it's like it's 10 times better than the job description. Like it's a 3 pages resume, and each and in page we have 10 tools. So then, oh no man, this is not going to work at all. So then I started specifically looking at the phase, in which phase we are using which tool. So that makes me kind of comfortable in journey. and it mostly cuts that barriers. Most of the barriers is just shortened my way in this. Then yeah, then I specifically limited my journey to 5 to 6 tools, and then rest you can learn anytime. So basically like you asked, which was like interview is not going to happen whole day, and it's also there is some short trick about the interview is time management. And if you showcase what the 5 to 6 tools at the top, and most of the cases that our interview will just follow is your resume. And if you place what are the five to six tools which are familiar, then from where it will go, like initially Jenkins, or starting from in every DevOps engineer need to have a Jenkins, and version control like we already discussed at Git, and then some containers tool like Docker, and orchestration tool like Kubernetes, and finally some monitoring like Nagios or Azure Monitor or AWS CloudWatch. One monitoring tool, like if we just divide your major phases into pieces, then your journey will be smooth, and you can direct your interview in your way. And if you are not knowing the thing, and if you are not aware of the functioning of the tool, and if you put lot of tools, then obviously it is not in our hands at all. And if you put it in way, then you can drive your interview in a positive way. That's all about this. In this small adjustment will make a lot of difference. Initially, I do a lot of mistake in 2 to 3 interviews. Then I realized, and I corrected it this way. Then it made me a bit easier.
Yeah, I know that's true. That's true because, like, when you think of the job description, you will feel like, this is not going to work. Do you think
Yes.
back at the tools? It's like it's still the same thing that I really did, but like it
Mm-hmm.
has a different configuration. Some things are easier, some things are tougher. So I feel that okay, adhere to the fact that you can't know it all. So just go back to
Yes.
the documentation, learn something, come back, and
Yes.
that's all it is all about. So every sprint has, in DevOps, at least I know that every sprint has at least something close to around like a week at least for a sprint at least. That's how they will at least give you. That's the
Yes. Yes.
max that you can think about, but there is 2 day sprint, 1 day sprint, there's an
Yes.
hour sprint there, there is always that. So you told about the interview experience, but what is it all about when you're learning as a newbie? It's all about that. When you have some set of tools, when you know that, how do you bridge the gap between the next tool that you're going to learn? Something like, Dapper, but how do you just manifest the same old learning back to the Thanos or something like that? So it's also used for sidecar, it's also used for orchestration, management, and things like that. And Kubernetes is always there as a backend where it's still kubectl apply minus f, the file name, and
File
that's
name.
sorted. That's sorted at the
Yes.
end of the day. So what is it all about when we are learning as a new person? Like if I don't know anything about DevOps, so how can I approach it?
Yeah, like we already discussed it, like it is not just a single tool, or is not a direct function. It is like evolution, like from step by step. When we have the complete project requirement, as soon as you got one requirement, from that moment to till you deliver the project to the client, each and every phase will be using different tools. And once you have a proper idea on this, what was happening here, then it's just some sort of adjustment. Like traditionally we'll be having some sort of approaches, and the in software development life cycle also, if you say initially we used to have waterfall model, so there everything has to go step by step. So if we fail at one stage, and you need to start from the beginning, and it's like that, and it is very time taking. And like we already discussed, now we have a very short span of sprints. Previously it is not like that, and we have a 1 week sprint, 1 month sprint, and even same day also we need to deliver something. So in to automate most of the phases, what we are doing, we are just automating with the help of these tools. And learning a new tool, obviously documentation will help. And as soon as you aware of that functioning, how the things are working on, and then it's just using from bare metal to using in a different environment. That environment will change, and the base functionality will remain same. So that is where when you get used to one tool, it won't be much difficult to play around with the similar functioning tool. That is where even I do. Yes, like you said, when we end of the day, when we go to Kubernetes, and it will make all our journey very smooth and very fast, and everything is like all of the deployments. Traditionally, when we were about to deploy 100 VMs, and system admins has to spend most of the days, nights, and to proper to avoid downtimes, and they need to struggle a lot. And now using Kubernetes, it's all just one command: scale up, scale down. Everything will happen on that go. Yeah, so that is new technologies and new tools making our DevOps life very easier. But one thing is like like I already mentioned multiple times that functionality, that root you need to hold. When you hold that thing, no, it will be like cakewalk.
That's true. That's true, because it's like you just have that modules to be added. You just have that. You're just. I always say this. You are just a one API away from the AGI. It's something like you
Yes.
can still get your AGI or an API. It's like one API call like this. But what about the data complexity that you are looking at the backward side? Like we are trying to make it data centric, model centric. What is it all about? So ML ops is yet another DevOps lifecycle that is always just evolving over a course of time. So, what is it all about when you are thinking of something as good as DevOps as an industry? How much is the need of the hour when we are entering as a newbie? Because it's like we can't know it all. Trust me, you
Yes.
can't know it all. But yet, when the industry problem statement comes up, there is always a new requirement that is always added. So, what is it all about when we are talking about this kind of an requirement that is always there in the industry, but yet what's the need of the hour to be taken care? Because as you know, you are well versed with Jenkins, Ansible, and so on, right? So, but how is it going to be effective for the tomorrow's world? Like Jenkins can go out tomorrow. Jenkins can be found vulnerable. It's something like all the scanners are there. They're throwing out the CVEs, but nobody's there to patch that CVE. That's the
Yes.
worst part of an SDLC or an ALM management, because that's what we always architect towards, right? We need to keep it more secure, more reliable, more scalable to the needs and everything. So, what is it
Yes.
all about when we are talking about the need of the hour? How should a software transition into a DevOps lifecycle, and that DevOps lifecycle deliver all the artifacts and the required components for the world tomorrow?
Ye- Yeah, to answer this, Vishwas, like there are a lot of traditional definitions we have. I'll not go through any of it. Let me be very simple. So when we the transition or why we need of this DevOps, for this I'll have a very simple theory, and I'll explain you in this way. So whenever, if you want to release one software or any patches or updates within the timeline, and you have very close timeline, we have already discussed it, then obviously we need to go with the DevOps. And similarly, and if you want to make sure all our releases, like today we have a release one, and in 1 week span we have released two, and day after tomorrow we'll have another, and we have very short span of time to release, and we want to make sure all the things are going smooth. Then obviously DevOps will be the one destination that we need to use. And also there in every phase in software development, in every time will have this last minute surprise issues. Okay, today we have a release today, and even though if you have everything packed up, and you are ready to go in 1 month ago, and today you want to just deploy it to the production, there will be last minute surprises in 99.99% cases. So to avoid this and to have the steady steady builds or steady releases, we need to have DevOps. And like you said, in this short spans and all, if you want to fix those issues, or if you again that Kubernetes thing, like if we have everything is packed up and we are ready to go, something was changed in one version and the client is waiting in the other end, and if you want to switch back in the last minute, that time will have this DevOps. So and it's not these are the some cases we usually arise in every day of the development. It DevOps, it's not like something is some new thing is coming in, or it is not it is going to take some other tools out and some people out. It's not like that. So whenever you have just now we have discussed the few scenarios. If you have any of these scenarios with you, obviously it will be the thing, which will help to land the good results end of the day. So that is how it's not like some new things are coming in, it's already there. And if you want to enclose all these things, then DevOps will be the right solution everywhere.
Yeah, you said about last minute releases, and we talk about SDLC, ALM today because that's
Yes,
the way in which we are architecting towards something, right? Something new will always be there. There
yes.
will always be a mechanism to roll back from the chaos that we faced on the DevOps cycle, but yet there will be a new challenge that will always be appearing for you. So, what is it all about when we talk about the SDLC in the so you have seen software engineering, right? And also you have seen DevOps world. So what is it all about when we talk about SDLC? That's my question. And also, there is always an rapid shift in the development changes. Like there is a transition from one model to the other. There is a shift in which the developer changes, their mindset changes, and there's a use in which security also comes up, right? Security also
Yes.
has its own requirement and so on. So what is it all about when you talk about SDLC today, according to you, as a definition? How do you define it?
Yeah, basically, from traditional waterfall model to agile, in every model, our main aim is to deliver a quality product to the
Hmm.
end user or customer. So, what will happen in these every steps? Unintentionally, we have left some spaces between developer to testing team and testing team to a deployment team. So, there are a lot of spaces which are there from past. And as soon as when this DevOps came into picture, it just tightened the bonding between each and every team. So it is like a continuous flow from testing team to from development team to deployment team. As soon as one change here, so for example, a developer have code in their in his repository, and if he made few changes when you remove file, when you add file, automatically yeah, from that repository will have pipeline to trigger a build based on that change. And as soon as that change is there and building of this application is done, immediately it is going to deploy in some place. So there is no manual intervention in these steps. So that is how the path or the journey of these three different worlds became close, and it avoids the the spaces, and it made us to deliver the project timelines also quickly. That is where the main interest lies on. According to me, this was the main thing that I can look into. Even though, yeah, there will be team to team, there will be some decision, and even though now also like we can say like it's a developer mistake at this point, and we can still claim on this matters. But whatever is coming and whatever is going to change, that is will be that will be available for everyone. Yeah, that way, that path and the journey becomes way faster than the previous models.
Yeah, that's true. Because like when you have that information of a person who has written that piece of code, and you
Yeah.
know that that code is vulnerable, I think probably like just raising a ticket on him and saying that okay, there's a
Yes.
vulnerability there here. That solves the problem. It's all about the simplicity that you are going to add to your
It's
entire
as simple
culture.
as that, one ticket away.
Yeah, it's just one ticket away in order to do that. Like in industry, right? You saw how the way in which, like, let me just say, there is a rapid shift in from React to some other framework for the front end team, and now
Yes.
there is a back end team which is working from Node.js to the Java. Like, let's say arbitrary, okay, Java to Node.js, something like
Yeah.
that. So, how is that transition effective in an organization today? Because you have seen software engineering aspects as well, and you have dealt with different languages or else different frameworks to be worked on. Like, I can say, like, every version of TensorFlow changes something
Yes.
or the other. Like, there is a rapid way in which you can say, okay, that's still the same set of Python code, but yet it's differing. Why? I get this doubt every single time I just look back at the TensorFlow documentation. I'm like, okay, it's not my problem. I can just look at the documentation and things like that. But how is it in industry when we are doing that kind of a transition, and how is the security perceived from an industry? Because I don't know how it's all about when you think of uh, the security. Because to me, it's like I'm just a CVE listed down, and I'm just making sure that I patch them to here and there. So that's what I think of that. But how is this taken into consideration when you consider the real industry problem statement?
Yeah, actually, it's a lot of things are linked into it, and I may not be the best person to completely speak on it. But traditionally, what will happen, we'll have a specific, versioning each and every tool. What will like you already mentioned, that CVV for water for every single version, what will be the fixes and what will be the problems that may occur, and in between, there will be no changing of versions and there will be no upgrades, and that is the red line for every project. And if it is working and you need to close the project on the same version, and in between you can't simply upgrade to if one tool upgrade, especially in Python. I was previously working with the Django application, so there we started with some 2.1 some X inversion, and as soon as it went to 2.1 to 2.2, everything will be collapsed and it will be just one minor change in the syntax, or it will be very very minor thing, and it can collapse the complete flow. And as soon as you're ready to give the customer, and you can't have anything with your hands. So that's way the versioning, and there will be lock, and it has to be this version, and for so and so reason, because as soon as we get the requirement, we'll just keep everything ready, okay, for this thing. And with this long term support, basically we'll have LTS versions only, long term support. So yeah, okay, this is the LTS version which I am using for this technology, and for the entire till the delivery I need to have this only. And if we have mandatory security updates and all, and which are very intermittently came on a sudden thing, then obviously that delays a bit, practically speaking. And it's not just come and go like that. It's not like that way, and it definitely took time and efforts to work on. And one main note is like, you can't change the version as simple as that. You need to stick to it.
That's
uh,
true. That's true.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's always it. So when you think of something as good as, let me say something like .NET developers, they have a long-term support version, but yet that transition has to happen at some given point
Patches,
of time.
yeah.
Yeah, that patches has to happen. I think Thank you so much, Koti. Thank you so much for being part of this DevOps Chat series. Thanks for sharing the uh, thoughts of yours on the DevOps world. Like, if you have anything to be finally said, and I think you made a slide, I think you can share that as well as an
Y-
side note so that people can, okay, just get to know what is that. So you can share the screen now.
Yes, yes, I'll do it. Actually, I don't have much, but let me share my screen. So as soon as like if somebody wants to get into DevOps, and at this moment, according to my knowledge, I have picked a few tools. Can you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I'm able to see the screen.
Yes. So you may have lot of tools available, and it's not possible for everyone to go through each and every tool. So that is why if you want really want to be a DevOps admin, hit a sixer with these six tools. And starting from any shell scripting or Python scripting, this you definitely need. And then for source code management, this is the general git tool. And in AWS, for the same thing, we have code commit. And Azure, we have Azure repos. These are the same tool. The first one indicates the normal tool, and the same thing which is available in AWS, and then Azure. So and then Jenkins. Jenkins, which will use for CI/CD pipelines, and as soon as one new build can, then you need to trigger. So that sort of automation thing will be licensed Jenkins. And then once you have code with you, and we have everything is ready, and it you need to make sure that it has to be it has to work in every platform. That's where the containerization will takes place. And one of the popular tool is Docker. And for Docker only, we have in AWS we have ECR, Elastic Container Registry. And then in Azure we have Azure Container Registry. Similar, and we talked a couple of things about Kubernetes. Kubernetes is the real thing actually in DevOps. So when we want to manage multiple containers and things like that, and if you want to make your deployment thing very easy, if you have 100 VMs, or if you have 1000 VMs, if you want to make sure each and everything has to be is working in single command, then you need to get work with Kubernetes. And the same thing we have in AWS is have a service called EKS, and Azure we have AKS. And the final thing is like we have a multiple resources, okay, from Jenkins to Docker to we have created multiple resources in multiple servers. And if you want to have a close watch on how the things are going on, when some servers are failing to due reasons, or you want to monitor load, how the things are going on, for those things we'll have monitoring tool called Nagios. And in AWS we have the CloudWatch, and the similar thing is Azure Monitor in another as a service. Okay, like this, we have multiple things to work on. And finally, what I wanted to share is like if you
You have
are
not
a
shared your screen.
yes, if you are a beginner, and if you want to get to it, these are the five resources I can recommend to anyone. So for shell scripting, Docker, Kubernetes, to get started with, there is a YouTube channel called DevOps Learn Easy. And it is here you can learn this shell scripting and Docker, Kubernetes thing. And if you want to know what is Docker, what is Kubernetes, what is Jenkins, and things like that, there will another channel called Automation Step by Step, where you will have each and everything as a beginner. Like if you know, you no need to be a software developer, you no need to be a DevOps engineer. If you are a college student, you can understand everything. These tutorials will be useful to get started. And there is another channel specifically for Docker Kubernetes, that is Tech World with Nana, and this is the link for this. Here you can learn about Docker and Kubernetes. Yeah, similar way, if you want to be expert in Kubernetes and you have a dedicated tool, learn KX Academy, so that is there. And finally, one of the best resource I ever looked into is Code Cloud. So if you wanna be DevOps engineer, each and every tool which you need to, everything you'll have all at one place. That is Code Cloud. So you can go through all these like YouTube channels. These are free, and LearnKits, these two you need to purchase subscriptions. So I'm not here to support anyone individually, but according to my knowledge and according to my research, these are the mostly helpful resources for anyone to get started. So that's all I have my from my end, Vishwas.
Thank you, Koti. Thank you so much for such great insights. I think it's not about being a fresher. No, I think experts say that they are still learning. It's not about you knowing it all. It's all about you manifesting and say that yes, I know something. Like how can I deliver this stuff over a course of time? And it's not about saying this software is just going to be something huge, that
Yes,
software is going to be something huge. It's just people, process, and tools. Something like you know how the process is, you know how the people are, which tool is suitable for you, what is it all about. That's what DevOps is all about. So DevOps
yes,
Chat Series has a lot of people like Koti, Bonimoy was there in the evening. I think probably we are going to get a lot of folks. We are going to have a lot of talk, and trust me, it's going to be amazing journey for all of us to witness all these amazing experts on DevOps. Nobody is an expert here, but to me, I think probably that hustle that you do, it actually makes me feel that you are an expert out there. And thank you so much, one and all, who listened to it till now. And also thank you, Koti, for being part of this session.
yeah. Thank you, Vishwas, for having me here. It really, helps me also to get through the community. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll end the broadcast.